2018. Your other three drivers are getting up there now. That Dale Jr. Even though if he does come back, realistically, how many more years does he have? It's still probably cutting his career shorter because he basically said he plans to come back, but I think his contract runs out in 2020. Maybe it was something he's planned to run past in the past, but now I don't think he's running past 2020 for sure. So you got a slew of guys to fill, and maybe they got some late model guys they're coming up, but they can start thinking that process through. Hell, even Stewart Haas Racing has Cole Custer.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Be interesting to see. What do you think Gordon will do at Bristol? Junior had a pretty fast car at Bristol, so
I don't know. He can't like I said, he's probably had a top 10 car at every race, but he can't restart to save his life, and it's frustrating.
It was funny because I heard that coming home from Indy that he couldn't restart. He's like, or people are like, well, he just needs to learn to restart. I'm like, dude, it's been his kryptonite for how many years now, Rudy? It's got to be at least 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, it was at Indy, he just tanked every restart, and it was just frustrating because we got all those slots back on a long run, and then he just tanked out a restart. And before all the rash cautions, he had worked himself into the top 10. And I was like, well, top 10, this would be a good finish for him. But then all those cautions happened, and he was as far back as 18th, and somehow was able to work himself back up to 13th. But at Watkins Glen, too, those last three restarts there, he lost, I think, 5 or 6 spots, and he was able to gain a couple of them back when all the stuff happened in the last lap. But he was like 11th or 12th, and he was on 16th or 17th. Everybody else had their problems.
One thing I thought was kind of weird there too at Indy was that he was, like you said, he's in the top 10, but then he pitted under that last caution, which was, I think it was the green-white checkered, and then it dropped him back all the way to 18. So I was thinking, man, if he would have stayed there, maybe he would have lost a few spots and the restart would have had troubles passing a few guys, but he would have ended up, well, maybe around the same. I don't know. He might know more what was going on there than I did, but I thought that was interesting when he gave up that top 10 spot to pit, and he was like the first car to pit and one of the only cars to pit on that last caution there.
And you don't know, maybe they're trying some experimental stuff too in that car.
That basically could be it, just being an R&D guy to try to get those other Hendrick cars running up front. Because, man, when was the last time a Hendrick car won? Was that Jimmy Johnson when he won at California?
Jimmy Johnson's the only one that won this year. He won those 2 races early, and really, Hendrick has not been on a blip on the radar since then.
Yeah, and you even think about it. Even Stewart Haas Racing. They're running very consistently, but they can't get the wins. They can't compete. Basically, right now we're just seeing Joe Gibbs and his Toyotas. Even the Front Row Motorsports, Martin Truex Jr. They're just figuring this out. They're the Rick Hendrick of old, basically.
Well, it helps when you give Brian France tons of money, and I'm sure he throws a little bit of stuff their way too.
Just like Hendrick did a few years ago.
No, it didn't happen. It's pretty common knowledge that Toyota has stuck a lot of money into the sport, so I'm sure Brian France is kind of repaying his buddies there.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I don't know if necessarily it's cheating or throwing extra stuff their way. I don't even know if Brian France could figure out how to give them faster equipment. Brian France is that big of an idiot, but
I'm sure there's rule changes they could make. I'm sure that would make it more equal, but they won't do it because it's Toyotas that win. Now, if it was a Chevy or a Ford that were dominating, I'm sure you'd see some type of rule change happen.
Yeah, and part of me says I don't want to see rule changes, though, because if there is no cheating, Rudy, I want to see these other teams try to catch up. I think in the past they've changed rules so quickly that nobody could really, when the team's dominant, the same thing with Hendrick, 5-10 years ago.
But here's the thing. They changed this package. They went with this package for a couple races last year. They gave Toyota all these test sessions on this new package. Only if you look at the test cars, they were mostly Toyotas. Look who dominated all these package races last year, Toyotas. Now look at this year. Same package as what they ran in those handful of races last year. Who's dominating? Toyotas.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, yes, but however, a lot of times when a team begins to dominate, like Hendrick, I mean, it didn't matter if they were going to the old style car, then they went to the car tomorrow. Even when they started the Gen 6 cars now, Hendrick was the dominant car, no matter what monkey wrench NASCAR threw in rule changes. You know, they took off the wing, they put on the spoiler, they changed the front ends with having the weird gully thing in the front end to the more smooth process in that car tomorrow. You know, Jimmy Johnson and Hendrick Motorsports in general still dominated the sport. And sometimes I think you just need to keep that rule package the same, and eventually you'll see guys. I mean, I think you're seeing right now the Penske Fords have figured something out too. I think if they were more than a two-car team, we'd be having a whole different conversation with
No, this is
just Toyotas.
I think you're wrong on this one because Toyota is the future of NASCAR.
Well, what do you mean Toyota's the future? That they're going to be the only make out there?
In a couple years, I wouldn't doubt it.
I doubt that.
What? Ford pulled out of NHRA this past year. It's only a matter of time before they pull out of NASCAR. If Rick Hendrick gave up the ghost, Chevy would probably pull out of NASCAR. Look at what Toyota's doing in NHRA. If John Force, if his team didn't go to Chevy wouldn't have anybody left.
I think you're talking about two different motorsports here that are.
No, I'm not. You're looking through the world through rose-colored glasses. It's common knowledge that Toyota's outspending any other car manufacturer.
I'm not saying they're not outspending. I know they're outspending. They're by far putting the most money. They're the ones that are putting the most manufacturer support. There's no doubt about that.
Eventually, the other car companies are going to pull out. What's the point of being in NASCAR anymore? NASCAR doesn't mean you're going to sell cars on the street anymore. It's not like it used to be. NHRA doesn't mean, I like this Camaro, I'm going to go buy it. It's not like that. What's the point of being in these sports anymore? The car companies aren't making as much money. They're going to have to make cuts. It's coming down the pipeline, especially if we get Hillary Clinton as our president. It's a matter of time.
I think you're seeing the world with a little bit too much shit colored on your glasses, which I still think being in NASCAR, I mean, it's not the sport it was of yesteryear, and obviously the cuts have been made. The manufacturer support is not there in both Ford and Chevy, but in the NHRA, I mean, it's obviously not as popular of a motorsport as NASCAR is. So, we can
among regular people, but among car people, NHRA is just as popular, if not unpopular.
Okay, what's the number of car people versus people? That makes no sense because.
But it makes plenty of sense because car people are the ones that are going to go buy these cars. They're the ones that tune these cars, that work on these cars.
Car people don't care if John Force is what car. More so, car people aren't going to care if they unleash a Camaro or a Challenger or a Charger, they're going to like the cars that they like. The people that they need to sway are the dumb people, the general population that don't know much about cars. So when they see a Camaro in the Xfinity Series, if they watch, of the 10 people that watch, if one of them's a non-car guy, they're gonna be more influenced to buy a car.
But they already have a Toyota or a Subaru.
Your car guy.
So you already lost.
What?
You already lost because they already own a Toyota or a Subaru.
Not necessarily. If they start saying, "Oh, I like Dale Jr. He drives a Chevy," I guarantee you, a lot of those people are going to buy Chevys. A lot of people, if they buy Toyotas, because Toyotas in the sport too, and they're winning. But if you're a Ford guy, don't know much, or you're a Brad Keselowski guy, don't know much about cars, start seeing Fords win, that might sway you a little bit.
No, because they're all hipster doofuses. They already have their Toyota, or Subaru, or Honda.
I don't know. I think you're generalizing it there, but car guys already know what they want, already know what they like. It doesn't matter.
I don't.
So, are you basing your car off of what? Were you buying Fords for John Force? Were you a John Force fan?
No.
Are you a John Force fan now that he's in a Chevy?
Yeah.
So you didn't like John Force before. You tell him
I
that's
didn't
what you tell
like.
him.
He was okay, but now I like him more.
Oh
I've
boy.
always said if Matt Kenseth drove a Chevy, I would probably be a lot bigger Matt Kenseth fan. If Matt Kenseth drove for Rick Hendrick, he'd probably be my favorite driver right now.
Oh bullshit. Oh come on.
No, he drove for the worst two owners in the entire sport of NASCAR that I hate the most, Roush and Gibbs.
That is true. That is true. I used to love Gibbs before he went to Toyota. That's the sad thing for me.
Now Gibbs has all the drivers that I hate the most. I hate Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch could drive for anybody. I would hate him. I think he's an idiot. Carl Edwards is I don't know. I just don't like him. And Denny Hamlin's a whiny little bitch. So
yeah, the only guy I don't mind on the team is, well, I don't mind Kenseth, but I'll agree that the teams he drove for really hinders of how much I've liked him his whole career. Denny Hamlin, I don't mind him, but he is the biggest wimp. Oh, I got the hell in my eye. My back hurts again. I'm surprised he didn't sit out last week with his back spasms. Kidding me? And then, of course, Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch are probably the guys I hate the most in all of NASCAR. Almost by far. I hate both of them. Carl Edwards is a big roid rage dickhead. And then Kyle Busch is a whiny bitch-faced dickhead. But anyway, we got a week to let that settle and brew, and we can watch that at Bristol, and we'll see what's going on forward. I will say, I think if anything happens with the lack of manufacturer support between those two teams, and if they do pull out, it will be because other makes like Volkswagen and Subaru do pull in. But I think NASCAR will do its damnedest, because they're idiots, and they'll find any way to make a penny. But I know they'll lose a lot of pennies if a lot of viewership too. If Ford and Chevy pulls out, then they'll be in probably a situation that IndyCar was in.
Well, they're already going down that road. Like I said, it's a matter of time.
It's not as bad as you think, Rudy. And that's kind of the unfortunate.
It's
thing.
Worse than you think. That's the problem.
It's not, and I thought it was worse. How bad this was.
It is worse than you think.
Just because Indy was terrible, because the races are boring there.
No, it's the same. It's not just the races. That's what you're missing. This whole point. It's the technology. Technology ruined IndyCar. Technology has now kept its way in NASCAR. It is ruining NASCAR. Technology ruins these things.
And that's true, but I mean, I'm saying NASCAR is not going anywhere.
No, IndyCar didn't go anywhere either, but NASCAR is going to go that. I'm not saying NASCAR is going to become an extinct product, but NASCAR is going down the way of the IndyCar.
Could be, but I'm saying as of late, you had to sell it at Watkins Glen. You had to sell it.
What, 8,000 people?
No.
Look at Indy. You were there at Indy.
Well, Indy was bad. Indy's because of the race. The Indy's always been a terrible racetrack. I can't think of probably the best race I remember watching at Indy was the first Brickyard 400. Ever since then, the racing hasn't really been that great. There's been good maybe strategies, but there wasn't very good side by side, or there's never been a lot of passing. Indy is not built for NASCARs. Indy is too smooth of a track, doesn't have enough characteristics. It's made for Indy cars. It's not made for stock cars. It's the track. It's not necessarily the state of the sport. The attendance at almost every other track has been either steady or it actually has gone up. Indy was just the only anomaly that you can say that sucks. And I'm not even talking about the Xfinity Series. The Xfinity Series is totally screwed. They got to do something there.
Well, we'll watch this play out. Like I said, you've always been optimistic about NASCAR. I've always been pessimistic. I would have to say, so far, I've probably got the better end of the deal on it. But we'll see how it plays out in the future.
I would say you probably had the better end out of it every year except for this year. This year has been surprisingly good, especially the beginning half of the season. Probably right around the Coke 600, the racing kind of went down, but the attendance is still there. The ticket sales are still, ticket sales are pretty good for NASCAR right now. But It still means they have some work to do, and I'm actually